I'm talking to somebody today who I've been trying to get on the show for a very long time. And finally, after he just spent a lovely weekend, a lovely week away from his home in Lathrop, California, which nobody would even go to in the summer. I have Bradford Ferguson on today. This is Randy Kirk. I want to introduce you to Bradford. Hey, Bradford, how you doing?
Doing well.
How was Lathrop?
It was fun. I learned quite a bit and more about Lathrop than just Megapacks. Tesla's presence in Lathrop is quite substantial. I was rather shocked by it, and I think people could learn a lot from what Tesla is doing in Lathrop, or at least learn a lot about it.
Well, that's what we're going to dig into today, and I think it's extremely interesting. I did watch your video the other day that you did. So Bradford, let's start by assessing two things. Number one, what do you do for a living? And you can tell that story any way you want to. Mm-hmm. And then part B of that would be out of that professional position and your general, I guess, huge interest in Elon, who's on the wall behind you. So how did you decide to spend a week of your life in Lathrop? Go ahead. I'll let you go.
Sure. So I own a financial advisory firm where we do investing and financial planning for people. I focus on the investing side, and our firm is called Bradford Ferguson Financial. I've created a sub-brand called Rebellionaire that I'm just starting to bring out. And who it's for is for people who rebelled against Wall Street and mainstream media. And maybe they put a bunch of money in Tesla or Amazon or Apple, those kind of things, and being able to serve them in a way that's dignified, where we can help them continue to benefit from the trends that we're seeing. What happened was I was attending TeslaCon, and this was in last April, and people told me that they would go to an advisor and they'd be laughed at because their whole portfolio is in Tesla, or they'd be told, well, you have to sell your Tesla if you want us to work with you and create a plan for you. So I, found a way that I can serve people who are, either, very concentrated or, taking some other risk like that. So that's what I do. And I think there is a unique opportunity with Tesla and Megapack. It's what's interesting about it is each of the Megapacks is sold for $2 million. So it's not like you're counting cars where each car is $50,000. These are sold for $2 million, and Tesla might be making incrementally $1 million each on these. So I thought it'd be interesting to go count and see, okay, how many Megapacks are they making per day over an extended period of time. So I went there, I got some help from 3 other people in the Tesla community who were very generous with their time, and was able to, get a count on the Megapacks that left the factory.
Yes, which I understand that no matter how many times I ask you or how many ways I ask you, you're not going to share that information. And I was like, how come? And apparently you put out a statement early on that you are an investment advisor with a lot of folks that are interested in Tesla, and that you got this information for them. Yep. And that someday you will reveal it. And am I allowed to reveal the rough time that you're going to reveal the number?
Yeah, I may do it mid-April. Okay. So there's a lot of video I got to put together. So a video proof of what I witnessed. So I, want people to see what it was like, all that.
Okay, and can I get a promise that you'll come back on my show first, after your own show, that I'll be the first show that you'll come on and talk about the numbers?
Perhaps.
Oh,
We'll see.
Okay, so you went to Lathrop. Now, Lathrop is near Stockton. Stockton is near Sacramento. I know a lot about Northern California, and I know that nobody goes to Sacramento except to see the Capitol. and that they certainly wouldn't spend any time in Stockton. And I'm guessing that Lathrop isn't any better. What was your overall sense of Lathrop? Was it a wonderful community that you'd want to go back to on vacation, or how did you find it?
Well, I'm a Tesla geek, so I don't mind hanging around the factories. I think it's pretty cool. At Lathrop and Stockton are heavy industrial areas, a lot of freight, a lot of warehouses, a lot of factories. In Modesto, California is where the Frito-Lay facility is. So you can go there, and there's allegedly no fence blocking your view, and you can go check out the Tesla semis. And maybe I'll just share my screen and give a little context to where Lathrop is.
Great, super.
Because let's see here. Here we go. So this is showing the factories here. We can come back to that. So Tracy is east of San Francisco and Fremont. We can see Fremont here. San Francisco is way up there. And people would live in Tracy. This is about 10, 20 years ago, maybe, where they would commute to Fremont to work there or elsewhere in San Francisco, because San Francisco, even back then, was very unaffordable for your average working American.
Right.
But what's happened over time is Tracy's gotten more expensive. People have moved out towards Stockton, Modesto, and other areas, Lathrop, Manteca. So Lathrop is kind of centered in I'd say this triangle here between Tracy, Modesto, and Stockton. So there's quite the labor pool to draw on. Unfortunately, it's a bit competitive where there's just all this industrial and manufacturing there. One other thing I could show you here is there's the Port of Stockton, and the Megapacks can get on the 5, come on up, and then get on the rail right here, or it can go on a river barge to the Port of Oakland and Benicia and other ports that are here. Oakland's down here. So, comes all the way out and can hop on, bigger boat there. But I think most of it's by rail or by truck, and there's projects going on all over the place. One of the great people from Tesla owners of San Joaquin Valley showed me this. If I search for NASA, there's this huge solar project that's going in right by this Fink Road landfill, and it's called the Proxima BESS. That's battery energy storage system. So it's going in right around here. There's a ton of, you'll see some Megapacks out in the field. You can't see it from this map. And you'll also see a ton of staking for solar panels that are going up. Oh. And we're hoping to get some video of that soon, so we could show the project that's going up. But it kind of looks like the Megapacks are being scattered throughout the facility, if we're right about that, or scattered around the grounds.
So in some of your early reporting and when you first went over there, you were talking about a second building where you thought they were storing Megapacks, and so that got me thinking. I've been in manufacturing and distribution my entire life, and so I'm immediately started keying in on that. And is it your feeling today that most of these installations are done in big chunks? In other words, nobody wants you to deliver. If you're making 10 of these a day at Lathrop, nobody wants you to deliver 10 a day to their location. Maybe they want 120 to come all at once. Or did you get any sense of that at all? Is that why they have to store them in that other warehouse, or what's going on there?
With the timing of the orders and the construction of these sites, I think there's delays with that. Tesla needs to marshal them if the sites aren't ready, and you need to organize them somewhere. There's a limit to the flatbed trucks that have to take them out. So they're very heavy. The Megapack 2 XL weighs 82,000 pounds. It's got to be on a 7-axle truck, or that's what they put it on. And there's a limit to these trucks, and that, how quickly you can get them moving around. It doesn't need a police escort, but it just needs to be on a flatbed, and they do have to be weighed. So I don't think they're necessarily waiting to do like 100 in a day, or that's even possible. And there's a facility, I'm not sure what Tesla owns, but there are a couple buildings where they might share some space, or they might own. They're not labeled on a map. Where there's one where they may be loading Megapacks onto railway right in Lathrop. So yeah. Did I?
Well, okay. So you said earlier to me before we came online, you said the biggest surprise that you had in your 5-day visit to Lathrop was
all these buildings. It's just such a huge campus, and let me show that to you. So let's go here. And I noticed it over time. So when I would drive by the Simwan building, I noticed all these auto parts containers that are used in shipping auto parts, and they were stacked right along the road. And then I saw that they had Tesla on the name of them. And then I looked into Simwan America, like, who's Simwan America? I looked at their glass door to see what their former employees or current employees had to say. And they make body parts for Tesla. I don't know if this facility is exclusive to Tesla. So you got the Megapack factory right here. We'll show you an aerial view of that soon from the drone. Then you have the Simwan factory. In this building, there's some Tesla chargers here. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but on the Google Maps, this building says Tesla Service Manufacturing. So this is a plant too. I believe this is a manufacturing facility as well, and we'll get into what they may be making in a moment. Then over here, you have a parts making facility, and some logistics. This building here is casting, I believe. You have air gas here, industrial gases, and you have some kind of either crushing, sorting, or smelting machine here. It's quite extensive, and these offices are rumored to be the offices that can kind of control Tesla logistics nationwide. I don't know if that's true. And then way over here, I saw this on the first trip, but I didn't know who owned this building. And now I see on Google Maps, it says Tesla Service Distribution Center. So it's a giant warehouse where they keep the parts, and using this for logistics. Maybe they're making something in here too. We're seeing stuff here, but maybe that's just to get things ready. And then the buildings I hinted at before, there's this building where it's attached to the rail. You can kind of see the rail lines. They may load them on the rail right there, the Megapacks. And right here, we'll see it in a video. There's a bunch of car carriers. Tesla runs their own fleet of trucks and does store some Model 3 and Y they'll bring from Fremont. This may be some employee parking from Lathrop, but I never really saw a shuttle running between this parking lot and the Lathrop Megapack factory. So I was just amazed by how much Tesla had going on. Tesla may have some part of this building, I don't know. Yeah, Tesla is a massive business. And you think right now, they only made 1.3 million last year. Think about a company like Toyota that makes 9 million cars a year. Yeah, how much of a mess that is. Like, I'm glad that's not my job.
Yeah.
Figure all that out.
No kidding. Yeah. So, okay. So we have all these buildings, several of which Google Maps says belong to Tesla or are being used by Tesla.
Mhm.
So a couple of which you already knew were Tesla either owned or operated. And then you have a couple that you're not 100% sure, but the appearance would generally suggest that maybe they do. So it's a potentially, well, it's definitely a large campus, but potentially a really large campus.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was what was shocking to me. Yeah.
Okay. And so, and again, the first time you went, you were talking about, you thought some of these megapacks were being taken from the manufacturing building and then taken over to a building for storage or temporary storage or whatever. Did you confirm that? Is that still what you think is going on?
I didn't really track that. What was
Okay.
important to me is how many megapacks are coming out of the factory.
Yeah. Keep teasing us. That's right. Keep teasing us. Yeah. It's like I'm always on the edge of a tease with Tesla. It's like, okay, what's going to happen in Investor Day? What's going to happen at AI Day 2? What's going to happen at the earnings call? There's always this next thing that's going to happen that keeps us all on the edge of our chairs. And now you're adding to it, Bradford.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about financials with Megapack.
Sure.
And I want to use some nice round numbers, so I'm not saying this is what I witnessed or whatever.
So I want to set the stage by saying, as a manufacturer and a marketer, my entire life, every manufacturer that I know of and every marketer that I know of wants to get as much money as they can for their products. Mm-hmm. Nobody sells less than what they believe the market is that I know of. Now, that's possible that Elon Musk will be one of the first to do that because he wants to move so many cars. I don't know. But generally speaking, we're all trying to get the most that we possibly can. Elon has specifically stated that this is an unlimited. No, he didn't say unlimited. What was his word? It was.
He said demand is unlimited, but
yeah, demand is unlimited.
Yeah,
and
that look at the peaker plants alone,
right?
You can make these for 10 years supposedly, and not be able to make enough. And you look at all the solar and wind that are going up. Solar and wind are now less expensive than adding to a natural gas plant. Right. So this is a big deal. And you want to pair batteries with solar and wind?
Yes, actually, I did. I don't know if you heard me say this before, Bradford, but for this audience, I did a deep dive a few weeks ago because I'm like, why, if solar panels are now abundant, so abundant that the prices dropped 30% this year, if there's this glut of solar panels, how come there's not a glut of installations going on? How come they're not being put up just everywhere? And I got the answer back. It took me a couple of days, but I finally found the answer because they want to put battery storage in when they put up the solar or the wind. That yes, it's efficient even without the battery, but the batteries make all the difference in the world. So they're basically, and I just read the IPCC 2 nights ago when it came out, and the IPCC specifically states that the big holdup is batteries. They're saying they make it clear that solar wind is second only to transportation in terms of what can change everything with regard to carbon emissions, and that the big holdup right now is battery storage.
Yep. And you can find it, I'm not sure where it is, but there's what's called grid interconnection requests. And it's in the hundreds of gigawatts for California and Texas alone.
Okay.
So it's a really big deal.
Now there's other people making these things, so it's not like there's no pricing competition, but with an unlimited TAM and with definitely a 2-year waiting list, it would seem that and with batteries being the limiting factor, it would certainly seem that Tesla can charge within reason pretty much anything they want. So having said all that, what do you think the margins are?
Well, there's been a lot of work in the Tesla community, and we've looked at recent pricing of the Megapack, what Tesla's selling them for when they sell like 100 of these at a time.
Yeah.
And looking at the costs, we think Tesla is selling it for close to $500 per kilowatt hour. It's a little less than that, but let's just use some simple round numbers. And we'll say it costs them $250 per kilowatt hour, or maybe it's 300. Let's go with 300. So if it's 300, the gross margin that Tesla's getting is 40% on this, which is substantially higher than what they're getting for cars. Cars
it's substantially higher than what anybody ever gets on a $2 million product.
Yeah. So like if we pretend that each of these mega packs is worth is selling for $2 million, and let's say it's 50% margin, that's $1 million in profit per mega pack. Using round numbers, if they're doing 10 a day and you have 90 days in a quarter, that's $900 million in gross profit. That they have some overhead. I think it's somewhat limited, and maybe you pay some tax. But right now, Tesla's earnings are about $1 a share. We'll see where they come in on the first quarter, but essentially they averaged $1 a share last year. If you suddenly add close to 30 cents a share to that, that's a 30% increase in earnings just from batteries, where Wall Street has nothing coming from that. It's possible this year they make $2 billion or more just from Megapack, and Wall Street in 2025, 2 years from now, has them earning $2 billion from this business. So it's grossly underestimated, and that's what made me go there to try and verify where they're at today.
Yeah. So one of the, as I've tried to follow your work and Zero Sum 33's work and others, I got a little confused, not with the bookkeeping. I understood the bookkeeping part better than I did this. What is the 50% based on? Is that including installation and SaaS and software purchases, or software subscriptions? I mean, is that over and above the $1 million that they make on the hardware?
Yeah, the $1 million is on the hardware, and then any maintenance or software is additional to that. Tesla is going to be growing the hardware so quickly, in my opinion, that the add-on sales for maintenance and software is going to be very minor for a long period of time. It'll certainly help. It'll be nice. It'll be nice gravy, and it'll cover Tesla's costs. But I think that part is minor. The utilities are doing this to make money off the batteries and to save money with the batteries. So I don't think they're going to give up a bunch of extra money for the software.
I see. But I was under the impression that the software, some of the software in this particular case, is not only proprietary to Tesla, but that nobody else really can do it as well as Tesla, which would be the reason that they would at least want to purchase or lease, or whatever you call it, subscribe to the software in order to get this mitigation thing happening.
I think they're top tier. There's this company called Fluence where I think their software is decent. Mm-hmm. They're one of the American players, but certainly Tesla is attacking this at a much bigger scale. and these are in such high demand that, I agree with you on, that they can almost set the price. And recently they raised the price by 111,000 per megapack, is essentially a 5% price increase. So I'd say where people are skeptical is Gigafactory Nevada is selling these megapacks, and the way they agreed to the price at the time, Tesla would have been pretty well profitable selling them, but because of how much the lithium went up and how much batteries goes into each of these megapack, it's essentially almost all battery. There's some other things. There's electrical, there's plumbing to keep it nice and cool. There's some inverters to help with power conversion, but essentially it's nearly all battery. And what happened is lithium went up so much that Tesla is barely, making anything, or maybe even, losing a little on the megapacks in Nevada. So that these new megapacks are Megapack 2 XL. They're selling for a lot more than what their cost is. That's what the big deal is. And I think people might miss it until Tesla proves it on the bottom line and, conversion to earnings.
All right. So Bradford, I'm not trying to get you to give away anything that you don't want to give away. But again, I'm a manufacturer. And I'm no longer a manufacturer, but I was a manufacturer for 30 years. And I look at the complexity of building a car, and I look at the complexity of building a Megapack, and you just gave us, your own version of the lack of complexity of building a Megapack. So for me, it's hard to imagine the ramp. I had products that the ramp was one day. Okay, you can make one of them one day, and the next day you can make as many as you could possibly make on the equipment that you've got. So I'm not used to these long ramps. I'll admit that. But in the case of putting batteries and a few fans and convert, some electrical, et cetera, into a container and then getting it out the door, it would seem like if I can make one of those a day, I can make 25 of those a day. I'm just going to let you comment or not.
Yeah, I'll just say there's a lot of work that goes into a Megapack. There's a lot of parts that need to come together. I believe every factory needs a ramp. There's things you got to work out, and there's things you might have overestimated or underestimated. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, all right. I'm just being a good reporter here, folks. I'm trying to get the information any way I can. Okay, so now you had some. Okay, so that's So the world, the stock investing public is underestimating Tesla by at least probably $1 billion a quarter right now.
Yeah, close to it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, I have this whole other thing. Maybe it'll be the next thing you can investigate, Bradford. I believe that Tesla will ramp to 1 million semi-trucks a year by the end of this decade. Elon has said that he's going to ramp to 50,000 by 2024. I mean, literally make 50,000 in 2024 were the words that came out of his mind. And I'm trying to figure out how he's going to get there. I think it was Scott the other day said that he thinks that they're already building the line in Reno. So they're not waiting for the new build out to start building the actual line to start producing the trucks. And that's maybe why there's not much getting shipped right now, is that they're actually getting ready to start actually ramping. So if they work towards 1 million trucks a year, or even if they make 50,000 in 2024, the street doesn't figure that in either. And 50,000 would be like at least 250,000 cars.
Yeah, there's some potential for that, and maybe we do another video, but that's further in the future and a little more speculative. Like they're making the mega packs today.
Yes, that's right.
And
That's
we
right.
can count them.
Yeah.
So let me show you a little video.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I respect it. I respect it. Here we go. This is the Megapack factory. You see them sitting in a parking lot. At times it could be 60 or 80. When there's 80 in the parking lot, it's like $160 million is sitting in the parking lot. They come out of this door here. They get loaded on the trucks with these red things. I think they're called straddle loaders, and they go out this gate. So quite literally, I would sit right here and watch what's going out of the gate. So it's very boring. Even if they're rocking and rolling, it's 24 a day. Yeah, I'm even worried I might have missed some in my count because it's just real boring.
Yeah.
I was entertaining myself with my cell phone and Chat GPT-4 writing me a story. You see all these trailers. There's shipping containers. A bunch of them have come from China. The oldest one that we looked at arrived in Lathrop in November. This next building here.
So the interesting thing is that it takes a container load of batteries to make one of these things, right?
Yeah, almost.
You basically need an entire truckload. You need one truckload of batteries to make one Megapack.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, because a Megapack is about the size of one of these containers.
Well, and the weight too. You're
Yeah.
gonna weight it out. You're gonna max out the container.
On the end here, I think this is a office for the factory. Again, there's a Simwan America plant making body parts. This factory, it's believed they're doing stuff with Powerwall and assembling some batteries into modules, perhaps. This one over here may make drive units. So we have 4 factories here. One of them's not Tesla, but then we have this parts factory over here, and we'll get to that in a second. And then we have the casting thing right next to it. I saw some smaller castings when I was there. I sent video of it to Monroe. I'm hoping they look at that. I want to give them an exclusive on that.
All right.
And here's where you see all the parts containers. They were right on the road. I could see Tesla in the name of some of these. I'm guessing they're going to scrapyard to be recycled. Most of these are made out of steel, so I don't think they're going into giga castings. My brother works in the auto parts. He doesn't know anything. I moved forward to that huge warehouse.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. And then you see that yard over here. You can see the car carriers over here. And some of the Teslas. And we'll get a look at this warehouse. There's a ton of trailers, a few shipping containers. Let me go back here. Sorry, it's a little jerky. So the rails here, you got some spots here where maybe you load a Megapack onto the rail, possibly. And then they're getting kind of reoriented. I wouldn't assume every building here is for Tesla.
Yeah.
It seems like quite a lot.
At least not yet.
Yeah, not yet. And then we're coming back and making that left turn. We're approaching the building where they're making the casting. Let me go back. Let me go forward here. Sorry, it's moving around a bit. You see in the air gas here, here's more containers where they're moving auto parts. And I'm not sure if we get a great image of the casting machine. There's a bunch of Tesla chargers right here. This building is unmarked on the map. So we moved down the street a little bit. Here's this crushing or smelting machine. There's a lot of plumbing going on the outside, so I wonder if there's some kind of smelting or going on. So maybe they're putting scrap aluminum in there whenever a casting is discarded. You have a transformer coming in, bringing in the juice. And
Bradford, did you have any anybody trying to tell you not to do the droning this time?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on a street and I was just taking video of the trucks after they would come onto the public street.
Right.
And I have a couple of videos on my Twitter, which is Bradford Ferguson. Right here is around where they keep these smaller castings. I think they've been making castings for Model S and X for some time. I don't know if these were castings for that, but the vertical integration is something else I appreciated more. You hear, well, Tesla makes their own drive units and they make this and that. You don't appreciate it until you see what it takes for Tesla to do it. All the trucks, all the containers, all the management of that.
So
insane.
So I wrote an article for Inc. magazine like 30 years ago on going from virtual to vertical, because I'd gone from 100% virtual in my manufacturing company to not 100% vertical, because you can never go, but pretty much as far as we could. And I believe that I'm right about this. This is only speculation because I have not been able to get an interview with Elon. So it's only speculation. But I believe that Elon and some of the things he's said caused me to believe that he's the same as I was. And that is, you don't go vertical unless you have to.
Right.
If you can buy it off the shelf and the quality's there and the price is right and it works with what you're doing, it's way easier to buy it from a third party. But I found that I couldn't trust the quality, or I couldn't trust the delivery, or the price wasn't low enough so that I could compete. So there was multiple reasons why piece by piece by piece, I had to go vertical. And I think that's what Elon has said. He says, I don't want to be a miner. I don't want to be a refiner. I don't think he wanted to make his own seats. I don't think that he necessarily wanted to make his own drivetrains. But from the Roadster until the Model 3, he just constantly was put in a position of where if he wanted the quality to be there, and he wanted it to be on time, and he wanted it to be so that it fit with everything else he was doing, it was necessary to go vertical. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be able to count on yourself, and counting on third parties can be risky. Elon likes to say, if just one of those parts is missing, like with the Model S and X Plaid, when that came back, and was that last year or the year before?
Yes, yeah, I think last year.
So, or maybe it's the year before, but whenever it was, like, they didn't have certain parts for 3 to 6 months. The whole line was ready, but they were missing a few pieces of critical trim where they didn't feel they could move the cars out until that was there. And so they were counting on a parts manufacturer that let them down. Sourcing parts is going to be hard for Tesla. I don't know if there's a model car where they make 5 million a year globally, even of any part.
But again,
there's some common parts, but like, you think about the Tesla Compact, that whatever the Gen 3 is going to be, whether it's a compact or a robotaxi or a van or whatever. You think about the smaller car, Tesla is going to be targeting close to 5 million a year for that.
Right.
Each of those are going to need 5 million parts.
Or in the case of tires, they're going to need 20 million.
Yeah, 20 million tires.
But to my point is they're probably never going to make their own tires.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's just stuff that they're not going to make. Now, I happen to have, I believe, started tweeting it out maybe 2 years ago, might even be in the Elon Musk mission. I think it might be in there, but I think it was even before that. I suggested they buy Firestone.
Right.
They would have gotten all those service centers to boot. So you get the tire company and you get the service center. And I thought, man, that would be an obvious buy. But I don't know whether anybody ever took it up the line to where Elon had a chance to make a decision on that. But yes, there's going to be stuff that they're not going to make. And there's, you know, and ultimately you can never be 100% vertical because you'd have to refine and mine, you know, every single substance that you're dealing with. So there's always a point at which you say, you know, I'm satisfied with the level of my third party involvement. And I was impressed as heck. Maybe one of my moments of being most impressed when they talked about how much work they're doing at their first and second tier suppliers.
Yeah.
Actually executive manpower on the floor at these first and second tier suppliers. I mean, we tried to do that as much as we could, but it's hard to convince a supplier that you deserve to be on their floor. Mm-hmm. So the company I think is the best at that is Costco. Costco is just amazing at that. They tell you what the product's going to be, how it's going to be packed, how many's going to be in a pallet, et cetera, et cetera. That's all. If they like your product, they redesign it, reconstruct it, and tell you how it's going to work, and then they check everything. So they're amazing at that third party intervention. So I
think that's a focus on urgency and cost. Like Tesla doesn't want to wait 3 to 6 months or however long it is for Magma or Plasman or different part suppliers to figure it out. They want to move fast and break things.
Number 3 is quality. Quality. And that's probably number 1 for them. Really, most of my decisions to go vertical had to do with quality more than price or delivery. Mm-hmm. Because people just weren't delivering what I needed in order to make my product as good as I wanted it to be. And so I'm just guessing, because of the emphasis on quality at Tesla, that's probably the number 1 reason that they make the decision to go vertical. Okay, so back to Lathrop. What else? Is there anything left? Have we covered all of your experience other than the part that you're not going to tell me?
There's a lot of empty warehouses or underutilized warehouses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right next to this last building we ended on is a DOLE facility. Maybe it's a certain season of the year where it's used more. Maybe it's associated with a certain type of harvest, but no one was there. So there's more room for Tesla to grow in Lathrop. But there's just also a lot of competition for the workforce there. Yeah. And that's where Tesla Bot might come in.
Exactly. Precisely. That's exactly right. So were you able to engage people in the community there in any way to get additional information you won't share with me? No, I'm kidding. Did you learn anything about potential increases in capacity beyond the 40 gigawatt hours?
What we saw at Investor Day, the video of the Lathrop Megapack factory, you can see in the video, it's pretty empty. There's this portion that's in a box on the right side of the video. Do it over here, whatever. And you see a line on the other side, and about 2/3 of the building is parts, is storage. But Tesla also has storage outside of the building in the trailers that's already hooked up to those bay doors. My opinion, Tesla has a lot of room to expand. At a minimum, doubling capacity. I don't know if there's if they have access to the other side of the factory on the south side. I'd have to look at the map, but unless it becomes some kind of choke point getting parts from the trailers to the line.
Yeah.
Tesla may be able to triple capacity
out of that building.
In that building.
But alternatively, because there are issues with parking and with where to put the containers in the parking lot, that kind of stuff. I mean, alternatively, you could always build that building. I mean, I live in Riverside. They put these distribution centers up in a weekend. Mm-hmm. I'm kidding, but it seems like it. I mean, they bring in the wall, they put it up, and then the next day, they're parking cars outside and people are working there.
All you need is a big box. So if you look at that abandoned warehouse, they could do it.
Yeah.
Essentially, they took over a JCPenney warehouse.
Yes. Or was it Target? JCPenney. Yeah, I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
JCPenney, I think. It also got me thinking about, there's this mystery building in Houston that's 1 million square feet.
Yeah.
That may be a distribution center. So Farzad Misbahi used to work at a distribution center in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So I don't think those are the only 2 distribution centers in the U.S.
Right.
I think Tesla has more that we don't know about, or if not, they're going to be adding them, and it'd make a lot of sense to put one in Texas.
Yeah. And of course, Mexico would be an obvious place you could put in another Megapack factory. I think they're talking, there was a rumor, not a very strong rumor, but at least a rumor that they're going to do it in Shanghai.
Yeah.
I mean, all those things make sense, make perfect sense. I am on the record as saying that I think the next announcement will be Indonesia. And that would be another just plain old, no question about it. If you're going to put a gigafactory there, you would put a Megapack factory there, because there's no place on, Tony Seba has famously said, it will cost only $10 per Indian citizen per year for 10 years to go 100% electricity in India.
Mm-hmm.
So you can guess that, it would be the equivalent for Indonesia or for Pakistan. So all those massive countries that are still third world, tending towards second world status, bringing Megapacks to that part of the world, solar is no problem. They can get solar all day long, but bringing the Megapacks to that part of the world could change their lives radically.
I agree. Yeah. Indonesia would be a good spot. Nickel may be less important, but it is important in the higher end cars, lighter weight things. I think that'd be a good spot. I always thought they were going to make have some more land in China. What I think happened is, this is just speculation. I think Giga Shanghai was so successful that the Chinese government started this auction for land near there, and there was a failed auction, and I think they were trying to get like $1 billion out of Tesla for this land, and Tesla was like, no. I'm just speculating. I literally know nothing. I'm guessing China wants Tesla to expand in China, but I think some other countries make sense as well. One thing that's interesting about South Korea is allegedly they have a free trade agreement with India.
Yeah.
So you could export from South Korea and not have 100% tariff on your cars there. One drawback to South Korea is the unions are very strong, and the number of strikes or the number of days on strike are among the highest in the world.
Really? More than Italy?
in South Korea. Yeah, and there's what's called the chaebol. Those are the very powerful, large industrial companies in South Korea. I don't know if they'll be welcoming the Tesla or not, but this is all interesting and fun. Elon has said with the Megapack factories that the amount of capex, per the economics of it, is very minimal.
Let's
so
give let's
give to build more, to take over a warehouse or whatever.
Let's give the audience that waited all this time and stayed with us all this time. Let's give them a little bonus here at the end. I have my philosophy, my teaching of my understanding of economics and of markets, going back too many years to count, is that you cannot have a recession if you have 1.9 jobs chasing one worker.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to that? What is your thing? You're in the economic world full time. This is what you do. Can you picture how an economy could go into recession while you have almost twice as many job openings as you have workers to fill them?
So are you talking about the U.S. economy?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a mismatch in either skills or desire for those jobs, or the location that people are in. So maybe you can match people better. I don't think suddenly those jobs will be filled. People do need work, and they do need to earn a livelihood in the U.S. It's a very difficult place, like for middle America. Living in America is very expensive, and like food in California is super expensive.
But we make more money, so it balances.
A nice cheeseburger at Hardee's is almost, or Carl's Jr. is almost $8 for a good cheeseburger there, whatever.
Restaurant food in California right now is just nuts. It's just crazy.
I'm very concerned about what the Fed's doing.
Yes.
But if we take a slight detour to China, essentially what they made it through was this acute COVID crisis, right, from about the beginning or middle of December to the end of January. Essentially, their economy was closed, even though they opened things up and they stopped, barricading people in their apartments. The economy was closed. What I hear, there's a lot of businesses that have closed from that, and a lot of people that are subsequently out of work. I think China may have a recession. We're seeing it in their auto sales, like Tesla is getting in there and increasing the value per dollar for Teslas is just much higher, but we're seeing like the other automakers are fading. If you look at like BYD in November of last year, their combined hybrid and electric sales, I think, were like 52,000. I may be wrong, and now they're less than 35,000. If you look at similar models, the BYD is almost selling a fraction of what Tesla is doing. So one of the popular models for BYD is a compact.
Yeah.
And maybe the third most popular one, it's called the QIN, QIN, is it's like a very cheap Model 3. It's the size of a Model 3, but it's a full battery electric vehicle, but it's the quality isn't there.
Yeah.
So I think China is going to struggle. I don't know if that fades over to the US, but I'm real concerned with what the Fed is doing. Yeah. And the problem is like you're having banks struggling. Like they said, well, the Fed's going to act until something breaks.
Yeah, right. And it did.
Something's breaking, and somehow they didn't get the memo just yet. So if these 3 to 5 banks are breaking or on the verge of breaking, there's other stresses in the economy. There's stresses with auto lending, subprime auto. There's stresses with commercial real estate.
I heard
And
I heard the commercial real estate though was almost all offices.
it's a lot of it. Yeah, there's also warehouses.
Are there? Okay.
Apartments are considered commercial real estate, I think.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Maybe I may be off. Like storage facilities, and factories that are leased.
Well, someone suggested that this is a rolling recession, that will never actually, go into a real recession. It's kind of rolling from one industry into another. So housing actually picked up last month, new starts, which was shocking. We'll see I think we get a report tomorrow on whether what else is happening in housing. But apartments were actually they were putting up a lot of apartments, which was actually starting to moderate the demand, which would cause them to go down in price, which would make the Fed happy, and the consumers that are looking for a place to live. But so it kind of a rolling recession where maybe it's hitting this industry and then it moves and it goes on to another industry. So that I can see. I've certainly talked to people, bankers and CPAs in the last week that have told me that they have customers that are hurting. So there's definitely some pain out there.
You look at housing and auto; those are your two largest purchases.
Yeah.
A lot of housing prices are down 30% off the recent high.
Yeah.
Autos are, the legacy car makers are kind of purposely keeping them in a shortage, but now they're struggling to sell and are, shutting factories down.
Yeah.
And, maybe temporarily. The problem that the Fed's creating is banks are weak. They're having trouble keeping their deposits.
Yes.
They raise interest rates to keep the deposits, then they begin to lose money.
Right.
And then people are seeing that this gap between where the Fed is and where the bank is very substantial. And maybe you wouldn't move your bank because of 2% difference or whatever, but now that it's 4% and higher, people are pulling money out of the bank. So you're withdrawing cash, you're lowering your deposits, you're going to your brokerage and buying U.S. Treasury bills or putting your money in a government money market. So government money market is one that invests in U.S. Treasuries or a guaranteed U.S. government debt like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, those type of things. So, those are truly guaranteed. When you're putting your money in another type of money market, like those money markets may be loaning money to banks. And some of them have billions. They have $1 billion each to all these different banks.
Right.
One of the banks goes down, like your money market can actually lose money or get frozen. So what people are doing is they're putting their money in these treasury bills, or if they don't want to figure that out, they're putting it in a government money market fund.
Right.
And the Fed, each time they raise rates, is exacerbating that. And I think they know it, but none of the reporters asked about it on the conference. Was it yesterday? Is incredibly frustrating.
Treasuries at 3.45 at the end of the session today, and 10 years, and still have an inversion at 4% on 2 years. And you're asking yourself, does anybody put their money at 3.5% into a 10-year treasury if they think that inflation is still at 4%?
Yeah, I don't know about that choice, but people are putting money in treasuries, whether it's the longer stuff or shorter stuff. I think the Fed persisting, essentially they're going to let more things break.
Yeah.
I don't think they should.
I agree. We're in agreement 100%.
I'm very concerned, and I'm not making a recession call, but I'm nervous about that. And one of the risks as a Tesla investor, if you're all in or whatever, and I'm not trying to tell people to sell their stock, is if things got scary with automotive, you have a subprime loan issue that could become a crisis. It was a crisis in 2008 and 9. Mm-hmm. If you have that happen, what investors may do, just out of fear and simplicity, is group Tesla in with all the other automakers.
Yeah, well, they're definitely doing that. I mean, they're already being grouped in with the other automakers. Well, actually, it's worse than that. They're being grouped in with the go-go stocks, like the ARK Invest stocks. Mm. I have all the ARK Invest stocks on my little, my iPhone. I have all of those stocks like lined up under Tesla, and they pretty much move almost exactly the same every day with Tesla. So they're not even grouping it with the auto stocks. They're grouping it with the go-go stocks.
Right.
Well, Bradford, this has been delightful. I'm glad I finally got you on here. I am very excited to learn what we learned today. I think everybody will be super interested in seeing the flyovers and seeing how big a deal Tesla is in Lathrop, and how big a deal they might become. And then we'll all be sitting on the edge of our chair waiting for your video in mid-April to find out what the real numbers are. And that'll be fun too. So come back anytime. Let me know if you've got other things that you think that my audience would enjoy. And again, thank you for being on today.
Hey, you're welcome. It's good to be with you, Randy.
All right. So if you like that kind of content, make sure and like it. That tells me that you liked it. It also helps the rest of the world to get visibility on it. So, and then of course, also hit the notify button, because on Saturday and Sunday, you're not going to want to miss these. On Saturday, I'm doing a video with Dr. John, Dr. Know-It-All, and Scott Walter, where we're going to we're going to take a look back at all the stuff that we learned this week from Joe Justice. And man, it's going to knock your socks off to see the stuff that Scott and John have come up with as a result of what Joe Justice said. And then on Sunday, I'm going to do this like complete review. I'm going to go back and look at the last 3 or 4 weeks of what we've learned about Optimus, what we think we know about Optimus, what people are speculating about Optimus. And it's just going to be a complete review of the entire Optimus story. So hit the notify button. Oh, you need to subscribe first. Then you hit the notify button. And then as usual, it's been great talking to you today.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.